Well, it's December, and if you're feeling like me, I need a holiday. It's been a long year. Thank you for joining, guys. I see a whole bunch of um, customers that have been with EDA for many, many moons. I'm going to just mute everyone for now so we kill the background noise. But yeah, welcome. I see a lot of people that let's say have come with us over the last 2 decades. Ansu, Arno, Gerard, Minnick. Wow, nice bunch of audience here. Welcome, guys. We're happy that you can join this EDA webinar. We look forward to sharing some nice things with you. I've got a whole team backing me, so if you guys want to come around and just say hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ron. Okay, so each of our team members will play a role in this webinar, and I'm sure we're going to share some useful information with you. So let me start sharing my screen, and then we can kick off with this presentation. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen now. Excellent. So we're starting off by really thanking you guys for backing us over the last 22 years. I'm sure that we've had many interactions over the years, and as EDA Technologies, we are definitely committed to continuing to offer the best that we can in terms of concept to complete agility. If there's anything that we can do to assist you further, please let us know. A little bit of a run through for the agenda. We're going to first have the introduction to 80/20, and Winston is going to be handling that. So for those of you that are not aware, Winston joined us this year as our sales manager, and he's driving all the sales for Altium Designer as well as the other products that EDA Technologies offer. So we look forward to that. I'm not going to say much to steal his thunder, but yes, lots to look forward to when it comes to 80/20. At 11:15, Luke is going to jump in and talk about some new features in 80/20. So a little bit of a more deep dive than what Winston did, but really showing us some of the high level and let's say the more standout features. Thereafter, Roxanne will be looking at some of the courses that we plan to offer in 2020. Also, some exciting news about the Altium Roadshow, which will be happening early in 2020, and some exciting news about that. Library management with Concord Pro, Rian Boertsma. I'm sure many of you know him. Rian is a certified Altium trainer, and we've trained many hundreds of users in Africa. So Rian's going to tell you more about Concord Pro, why it's such an amazing product for Altium, and how it can really, really improve your library management in your company. Really a fantastic tool, and we'd really like to help you get going with Concord Pro. Then we have Ovi, who's going to come in at 11:50, showing a product that we have called EMScan. It's a unique patented product. It is real-time desktop EMI scanning. So instead of waiting for weeks to book a EMI chamber and all of that, you really can do EMI scanning on your desktop in real time, in seconds, see where your noise is emitting or coming from on your PC board. So that's really an important product for South Africa to help us to get to market faster. And then later on, we'll have just a lucky draw. So please, guys, you'll see there's a chat panel. You're welcome to ask some questions. And let's say the top 3 participants in this webinar will each receive a lucky prize. We'll show you what it is afterwards, and I'm sure that that will be quite a nice add-on. And then for those that are able to stay for another 15 minutes, we welcome your question and answers. But you're welcome to post these questions during the session, and our team members are on standby to answer some simple ones in the chat panel. But if there's others that need a further explanation, then we'll open it up afterwards to a Q&A session. So essentially, that's the breakdown that we're looking at. So So just a little bit on EDA for those that are maybe newer to EDA. We've been around since 1997. The company has evolved quite a bit, but essentially we're there to offer concept to complete electronic services. Of course, one of those products we sell is Altium, but we also offer concept to complete design services. So some customers come to us with a pure concept in their mind. We help them with the product brief and take it right through to getting the product in manufacturing for selling to the market. But of course, if you need anything in between, you're welcome to speak to us. Obi will speak to you about EMScan. So if you've already designed your product and you want to do some pre-certification to make sure it is going to pass EMC, we can do that very, very easily from our offices. And we've got unique product tools that no one else has in the country in terms of desktop EMI scanning. But also we've got links to manufacturing and assembly locally and abroad, so we can do your PCB assembly and really the full turnkey solution. So please speak to us if there's anything we can help you with. If you just want to pick up the phone and get some advice for your design, that's what we're there for. We're there to make sure that you can really take your product to market faster. And that is really our mission as EDA. That's what we strive to do. We strive to pool together our knowledge, resources, experience to help you to get to market faster. So if you feel that you need help in any of those areas in terms of PCB design, manufacturing advice, choice of components, using Altium to be more efficient, anything that can help you to take your product to market, that's what we're there for. So please knock on our door, come to us. We'll try our best to make sure that you can achieve that. And I think in the climate we're living in now, it's very important. We've got a lot of competition coming from the East, lots of new products, lots of competitive products, even sometimes faster to market than we can even think. So we need to be competitive. We want to maintain and make sure our local electronics industry remains as strong as it is. So it's quite important that we remain profitable, and for that to happen, often it's time to market and also shortening the design cycle. So that's our mission as a company. We've helped lots of companies, and we'd like to help you too, if that is necessary. So please keep that in mind, and going forward, we'd like to help you. So 2019 is almost over, but we're really positive about 2020. We've seen the sales we've had in Altium countrywide, the increase in sales, the increase in manufacturing. So although it might seem a little bit gloomy, there is some hope on the horizon. But if we work together and we work smarter, we can change this picture as well. So that was just a little bit of an intro from myself. As I mentioned before, we've got a whole team that's running in the background. So I'm going to hand over to Winston next, and Winston is going to spend a few minutes introducing 80/20 and so on. And please, as I said, type your questions in the chat panel. We'll answer them at the end, or if they're simple enough, we can just reply in the chat panel, and that's how we'll go along. So now I'm going to hand over to Winston.
Thank you, Nechan. I'm happy to introduce the most significant release of Altium Designer. Thank you all for joining us. For our current subscribers, 80/20 was released this past Monday and available for download. Great news for those that missed out on our previous promotions. It's not all doom and gloom. If you purchase before the 18th of December, you could save up to 35%. So, what makes Altium different? It was confirmed earlier this year that Altium Designer is the tool of choice by more professional PCB designers, and the announcement of 80/20 simply further extended that lead. 80/20 is a game changer for PCB design. The release includes user-driven improvements and advanced capabilities that leapfrog the competition. 80/20 is a unique release because it's a culmination of 3 initiatives that elevated into an entirely new level. We're going to talk about each of them and why they're unique. The first one is the user focus. The second is closing the gap. And the third is the long-term R&D investment. So first, let's talk about the focus on the user. Many of you have gone onto the Altium Live community. This is the platform where Altium can connect to its users directly. With the release of AD20, Altium was able to address almost 5,000 different votes that will impact just over 2,000 unique users. Some things that were addressed and added to the community goes as far back as 2012. When we talk about closing the gap, with each release, Altium has always focused on 2 or 3 areas. In this graph, you can see AD17 and the areas that were worked on. A lot more emphasis was put on library creation and placements. Here you can see AD18 had a similar amount of improvements, this time focusing on PCB drawing a little bit more. And here's the graph showing AD19 as well, extending towards component search. As you can see from this graph, it's very clear that Altium has made significant improvements in all 10 major areas of the tool. So what will this mean for you as a user? This means a much more competent design platform with an emphasis on productivity and the ease of use. The value is transparent when doing a functional to price ratio with AD20. Altium's made improvements in all areas of the software and has closed more than 100 bug crunches and ideas. This is an increase of 73% when compared to AD19. In routing, Altium is now the industry leader. A detailed list of the release notes can be found in this link. It's quite apparent that our annual royally paid subscription fees is being channeled to make drastic improvements to the tool. Luke will go into the details for us shortly. On a high level, some of the points that stand out are the best-in-class interactive routing, the new high-speed PCB routing capabilities, industry-leading multi-board design. We often have projects which require more than one board, and Altium can now accommodate this for you. Other good features is the new high-voltage design capabilities, enhanced user experience, and user-driven quality improvements. Let's quickly go back a few years. We can now see that Altium has put in a lot of work on this release, and you can expect this trend to continue going forward. Interactive routing, high-speed design, SPICE simulation, and schematics now have dedicated development teams. Interactive routing has been developed over the last 5 years, and the new schematic features over the last 2 years. It's been a real pleasure giving you a brief introduction on AD20, and I look forward to our one-on-one engagements going forward. With the release of Altium Designer 20 comes with it many new and exciting features. I would like to introduce Luke Dingle from Technical Support to tell you a bit about them.
Thank you, Winston. As mentioned, I'm Luke. I'm going to spend a few minutes reviewing some new standout features in Altium Designer 20. I'm also joined by Nechan. Nechan, please jump in at any time to add your remarks. So, let's get started. Altium Designer 20 introduces some new features and improves on existing features too. First of all, is a new DirectX rendering system for schematics that will enable faster and smoother zooming and panning. Now, when moving, copying or pasting large blocks of circuitry, there will be less lag and more responsiveness, in turn leading to more productivity. Altium also has a new dynamic data model as part of its productivity improvements. You will no longer need to fully recompile your project after every minor change, as the new underlying design connectivity model is dynamically updated after every user action. Many other functions such as net highlighting, color by net and pin swapping no longer require full project compile before you can use them, meaning you can work more fluidly and efficiently. Altium Designer 20 has also redesigned the properties panel. Icons have been improved so you can easily find the section you need, and the parameter listing pane has also been updated with filters to selectively display only the parameters you want to see. Along with this redesign is the properties dialog that can be accessed by either double-clicking a component or selecting properties from the right-click context menu. This dialog has the same features and layout as the properties panel, but is optimized for single-element editing, while the properties panel is optimized for multi-element editing. On the PCB side of things, we have some new and updated features as well. Altium Designer 20 offers a new routing mode that allows users to make completely smooth and accurate transitions even on non-45-degree traces. This, coupled with an improved glossing engine, will help you clean up existing traces in your design while maintaining high routing standards. Together, these features enable effective escape routing on dense, high pin count components such as BGAs. You've got a thought on this, Nechan?
Yes, I can remember many late nights of routing, because often PCB routing takes up a lot of time, and now with this improved glossing engine, it's going to make the routing a lot neater, which means that the routing effort will be a lot faster. So I'm sure the users are going to look forward to this new feature.
Thanks, Nechan. Powered by this new glossing engine, push and shove editing capabilities have never been this powerful. Prevent acute and right angles, loops and disconnects during trace editing. You now also have the ability to slide arcs, free angle segments and T-junctions, including multiple segments at once, without breaking your already defined connections. This can save many hours of manual editing. Another improvement that was introduced is the functionality of area length tuning. The area of the track will no longer follow the line of the existing track, as was the case in AD19, but will instead be kept inside a box outline that you define. Therefore, it will be much easier to move the tuning area along the track to find the optimal position. This also applies when using length tuning for differential pairs. You've got a thought on this as well, Nechan?
Yes, of course we've had length tuning for quite a while, Luke, but it was, let's say, a little bit messy, because the accordion pattern would just be fitted anywhere on the PCB and not necessarily on top of the return path that we would have liked to have. So now we can define the box, as you mentioned, and the accordion pattern will be drawn in that area, not going outside of that area. So I think it's going to improve the high speed routing and definitely improve the cleanup time that was needed before.
Thanks again, Nechan. Along with the new length tuning tools is a new delay-based tuning tool. You were impressed with this feature, Nechan?
Oh yes, in the past we had to have some fancy calculators, and we had to work out, for, let's say, a 20 picosecond delay, how much extra trace we needed to add to create the delay. Now in 8020 we can put that parameter in the actual time function, and Altium will automatically work out the segments to be added so as to create this delay. I think this is going to be a real improvement on high-speed routing.
Thanks for your thoughts on that, Nechan. We have a fantastic short video showing this in action. Please have a look. As you can see here, the PCB panel now shows the time delay as well as the routed length for nets. To set up delay-based matched lengths, first lay down your trace. Next, we set up a match length rule using delay units. Then we use interactive length tuning as we normally would. Notice the units displayed now show delay rather than the trace length. Delay-based length tuning can also account for vias and pads. You can set the propagation delay in the properties for either vias or pads, as you can see here. This means you can get accurate length tuning over multiple layers. And finally, here's a quick demo showing the new area tuning functionality. A new feature in PCB design rules is the voltage creepage rule. This is a brilliant feature where Altium automatically reports any possibility of voltage creepage across copper features. Once this rule is set up, the user can then add slots or cutouts to the board as needed to mitigate the creepage. This rule is essential for high voltage designs and has been requested by over 250 users. Another new feature is return path checking. Nechan, you're the high-speed expert. Maybe you can tell us why this is such an important feature.
Well, many of our users here in South Africa attended the Lee Ritchie series of training on high-speed digital design, and we know how important it is to have a return path for high-speed signals. If we do not have a return path, it leads to reflections, noise, crosstalk, and a whole lot of problems that we don't really want to have on any high-speed design. What I love about this new feature is that Altium, through the design rule check, can actually identify areas of the board where these high-speed signals do not have a proper return path. And so once we've identified these problem areas, we can try to resolve it by either moving the traces so that they are over a return path in the form of a solid plane, or it may be something like, for instance, reducing the antipad on the plane so that we do have copper between pads and that the signal does have some sort of return path. So if we do this, we will drastically improve the signal integrity of the design, and we will have much less signal integrity issues on a high-speed design.
Thanks again, Nechan. I'm coming up on the end of my segment, so I'm going to mention two final features. First one is that you can now use the active bomb function both at the board level and at the system assembly level of an entire multi-board system. Along with this, you can now export PDF 3D documents from the Outlook file or from the export menu for multi-board designs. Alright guys, I know I've gone through this pretty quickly because of timing, but go over to Altium's website. They've got plenty of videos on all of these new features, and I can guarantee that you will enjoy watching them.
Yes, and I think Altium is very good with documentation as well, Luke. So there will be lots more documentation coming up in the next few weeks to really dive deep into these features. But of course, the users can always contact us as well, so that the time to market is improved and they can start using these features as soon as possible. I think that's what we want to happen. We want to make sure that we do not lose out on these features. So often a new release comes out and users don't really know about it, they don't play around with it, and years later they found out, oh, Altium could do this long ago already. So I think it's quite important for users to at least know what is available in the new version so that they can start playing and using these features to improve their productivity.
If you guys run into any problems with Altium, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be more than happy to assist you. That's it for me, guys. I'll be handing over to Roxanne now, who will discuss our upcoming training.
Thanks, Luke. Hi, everyone. At EDA Technologies, we firmly believe that training presents a prime opportunity to expand the knowledge base of all employees. EDA prides itself on its 22 years of training experience. To date, we have trained in excess of 1,000 designers since 1997. We cannot overemphasize the vital importance of receiving the correct training. Not only does this enhance your company's reputation, but it also increases employee performance, which leads to improved productivity. This exercise provides both the individual and organizations as a whole with benefits that make the cost and time which you dedicate to attending this training a worthwhile investment. Training is expensive, but good training is even more expensive, yet no training is the most expensive. We are happy to announce our provisional dates for 2020. We know that many of you have already inquired about our schedule. Our courses for Centurion are as follows. For the Altium Designer Advanced, it will be the 26th to 28th of February 2020. The Altium Designer Essentials will be the 19th to 22nd of May 2020. For more information and course contents, please feel free to visit our website or email me directly. As the need arises, we will notify you of our future training dates. This info will be shared on the EDA mailers, which will be sent out to each of you. Rian Boertsma is an Altium certified trainer, and upon completion of each course, you will receive an official Altium certification. Please also suggest other specialized topics for training next year. Previously, we've had the high-speed seminar with Lee Ritchie, as well as the IPC CID certification. If there are any other topics, please do let us know. I'm sure many of you have previously attended the EDA roadshows. Yes, it's been a while since we've held a roadshow, but we are closely working with Altium to ensure a successful event for next year. Our 2020 event will be happening very soon, and we may also have an Altium FAE joining us on this roadshow. Please be sure to note down the following dates. 4th of March 2020, we'll be having a roadshow in Centurion, and the 6th of March will be in Cape Town. More details regarding the event, registrations, as well as venue will be confirmed a bit closer to the time. We look forward to seeing all of you there. I will now hand over to Rian Boertsma, who will discuss the topic Library Management with Concord Pro.
Hello everybody. I'm going to tell you about Concord Pro. First we're going to start with why you need Concord Pro. Then a bit about what is Concord Pro. A little bit of a focus on where does Concord Pro come from and the differences between Nexus and Altium 365. And then a bit more detail of some of the great features of Altium Concord Pro. And then I'm going to wrap up with a summary just to take it all together. Okay, why do you need Concord Pro? Engineers are always right? Well, most of the time. We recently did a design with about 25 schematic sheets, 864 components, 2,431 pins, 529 nets, more than 6,000 track segments. That's not a very big design, so it's fairly standard, but you have to get all of that right. Sometimes you don't. So engineers are not right all the time. Most of the errors come from library errors because you don't see it that easily. A pitch error on a component, 2.5 pitch instead of 2.54, or you swap the source and drain on a MOSFET. That's normal, that happens. But if you make that mistake twice, that's not an R&D problem, that's a system error. That's a configuration system that's not in place. And that's where Concord Pro comes in. So at the moment, Altium has file-based library systems, you know, the schematic library, PCB libraries, and some of you might even still be using the file separately like that. Then an integrated library where you combine the two, and it's easier for managing distribution amongst your engineers. And then database library and SVN library all come with their strong points, and some of them have a few weak points. And one of the things that's a bit bothersome is that you either have to close Altium or you have to shut down your libraries and open them up again whenever you update your libraries. I'm pretty sure you've experienced that. Another issue with these file-based libraries is they're not automatically organized. You have to think of an organized system, and having many engineers in your company, you have different opinions. You often have more than one opinion per engineer. So that ends up having scattered library files on your server, your drive, shared drive, or even on your machines. The latest might be on the other engineer's machine, hasn't updated to the server, and the file names are different, the component names are different. You get mismatches on symbols, part names, on your footprint names, and there's no automatic revisions. Sure enough, on SVN, you can add your notes, but then you have to save every single component as a separate file. And there's no automatic approval system built in. You either have to make a note as a parameter, or you have to keep separate spreadsheets or notification files that you have to keep in place for these approvals. And it's notoriously hard to find the right component. Searching through all the different libraries is often not easy. And then you find 3 or 4 where you expected 1. So which one is the right one? And it's quite difficult to share your libraries with other engineers in your company or with subcontractors. One of the other issues is the parameter list and the naming conventions are not standardized. Some people save it under the part name from the manufacturer. Some people save it parameterized. In other words, you save it as IC, power IC, 5 amp, LDO. So then it becomes very difficult to manage all of that. Another issue is your supplier information is often outdated. Even there might be even a good chance that your manufacturer has stopped producing this or is not recommended for new designs now. And from the time you started the project until the time you're ready to go into production, you might find that 1 or 2 components have gone obsolete. But you don't know that until you start buying the components. Then it's a bit too late to change the design. So it would be great if you have that information active and alive as you go through your design. You often end up with mismatched symbol and footprint information because there's no automatic validation in these file type libraries. You don't do an automatic check. You have to manually check that your symbol matches your footprint. So this is exactly where Concord Pro fits in. It solves all these issues for you. So what is Concord Pro? It's your complete on-site system for component management. It has up-to-date and standardized component data. It has built-in bidirectional ECAD MCAD collaboration where you share information with your mechanical engineers. It has complete component traceability. That is, you know which component has been used where, and you know if it's up to date. And it includes component sourcing information, where you will know if these components are available or maybe deprecated. A bit of the history of where Concord Pro came from. You all remember Altium Vault that migrated to Altium Nexus Server, which was just an interim stage where it split off between Altium Nexus, which is the enterprise solution, and then Concord Pro. That's what we're talking about today. Altium Nexus is a turnkey solution, mainly focused on workflow management by teams. It's more for the enterprise guys. And then we've got Concord Pro, which is on-site component management, mainly focused on component. You have your managed projects also in Concord Pro, but it doesn't manage the workflow of the projects. The value of booking it in Concord Pro is that you will know where the components have been used. You can do a where used search to check which component has been used on which project, if you, for instance, need to change or update that. Then Altium 365 is not launched yet. It's a cloud-based platform, mainly based or focused on teamwork collaboration. Okay, a bit more detail on the features. One really useful feature is the ease of searching. How easy it is to find the right component in Concord Pro. That is because it's subdivided into categories automatically. And you can use filters, so you can pre-filter, I want to search even from this value to this value. So it's almost like DigiKey, just a bit better. And you can even compare different components. Now you find 2 1 microfarad capacitors, 10%, 25 volt, what's the difference? You select them both, and in the right-hand panel you can see the red shows up the differences. Oh, so one is 0805 and one is 1206. I want the 0805 one for this case. So it makes finding the right component very easy and quick. Another really nice feature about Concord Pro is that you can create component templates. In other words, when you create another component, capacitor for instance, it preloads the parameters you need, standard symbols, and what information you want in those parameters. So it's very difficult to make a mistake, and you can actually pre-check some of the values, range checking. If I type 1 mega ohm in the farads field, it will tell me it's not acceptable. So you won't get as many errors into your library. Then automatic component validation is a really powerful checking tool built in that can make sure that you don't have invalid pin mappings or duplicate pin designators or missing pins if you don't want that, or when you duplicate parameters on your footprint, you short out some copper. Concord Pro automatically checks that for you, whereas in the file-based systems, you have to do these checks manually. Concord Pro also shows you the live status and lifecycle information. On the top-hand side of the panel, the right-hand panel, you can see the status and the lifecycle. The difference between the two is the status is design information. That is when the librarian or you as an engineer released this symbol and footprint, this component, into the library. It's ready for release, or it's still in draft mode, or it's ready for pre-production, not for production yet. And then the lifecycle status is the lifecycle from the manufacturer and supplier point of view. Do they have frequent stock levels, or what the deprecation level or obsolescence is on that side? Altium has also brought the active BOM feature where you can specify alternative parts into Concord Pro. So now you can define alternate part selection in your library components. Previously, it was only valid or alive and active in your project, not in your library. Now that information comes through in your library, which makes your procurement exercise much easier. The last feature I want to bring your attention to is the ECAD MCAD collaboration. SolidWorks and Altium have worked together for quite a while to bring this almost real-time information sharing between your electronic designer, your PCB designer, and your mechanical designer into play. You can change a mounting hole in your PCB and it will automatically reflect on your mechanical side. On your mechanic side, it might tell you, oh, that component is too high, the connector doesn't fit, please move it here, and you can accept on the PCB side. That same feature has been brought in for PTC Creo and Autodesk Inventor. And this is all built into Concord Pro. So in summary, Concord Pro brings together all your schematic symbol libraries, your footprint libraries, adds your procurement and supply chain information, validates and checks them, and allows you to do almost real-time collaboration with your mechanical team to make sure that there are no errors in your design. So that's it from Concord Pro as a summary, as a quick overview. You're welcome to contact us for a demo and some further information. And now I'm going to hand over to Obi Raman. He's our FAE for the EMScan, and he'll tell you more about that.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Ovi, and I would like to tell you about designing PCBs for electromagnetic interference, or EMI. Now, the goal of every PCB designer is getting it right the first time. Considering this, a designer must make sure their products are immune or doesn't emit any bad EMI signals. To many designers, EMI interference is kind of like a black art. Getting it wrong can cause a product to go through multiple redesign cycles before the work can even be released safely. And you can imagine this is a very expensive and time-consuming method. Generally, when a prototype with radio signals is complete, engineers take it to an external facility and pray hard that they pass certification. If they don't pass, it's quite difficult to determine what the cause of the problem actually is. And it goes back to the drafting tables and back and forth between the facility. It's quite a lot of effort. A lot of time and money is spent in over-engineering some designs in fear of failing certification. It's kind of like learning to drive a truck because you don't want to fail your normal car driver's license. But what if preliminary tests could be performed in-house before going to an external facility to certify for EMI? So what if you could avoid having to go to external facilities to check if your extra capacitor solved the problem or if your extra thickness on your one track made a difference? You could save up thousands of rands by simply checking your prototypes on the fly. To top it off, you can fine-tune your designs to avoid excessive engineering without compromising the safety of your prototype. This is where I'd like to introduce to you EMScan. EMScan is a real-time desktop analysis tool, and it does not break the bank. Right. This tool allows you to perform spectral scans across a range of 150 kilohertz up to 8 gigahertz, and you can do spatial scans, which is incredible for your board, within minutes. And best of all, it fits on your desk. You're able to do real-time scans on your boards as well. This enables you to see the effects of makeshift changes while you're operating on the board. You might be asking yourself, so how does this tangibly give me value? Well, let me try and give you a story of where this device actually saved a company a lot of money. A while back, one of our clients failed their electromagnetic certification. Now, keep in mind that a ton of money was spent into the development of this product. And this product was working to some degree fully. The EMI certification was necessary for the product to be sold outside the country. This was a PCB with 4 layers with GSM, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi comms. When it was put into an anechoic chamber for certification, they measured a 76.8 megahertz signal, and the signal strength was too much. The device then failed certification, of course, and at first nobody could understand why this frequency was present. After a bit of testing, the only correlation that was found was that the signal was the fourth harmonic of the 19.2 megahertz crystal on the board, which at this point was not very fruitful information, wasn't very helpful information. We knew the source of the problem, but what was the cause of the signal, we couldn't figure this out. Now, after making several educated guesses, some component changes were made to try and mitigate the problem, but without testing, it's difficult to tell what the effects really were. So we at EDA invited this client, and we told them, let's try EMScan on your product, because we also wanted to see the capabilities of EMScan. What we discovered was incredible. So we started off with a spectral scan, as you can see on the slide. The spectral scan immediately picked up a frequency of 150 kilohertz on the device under investigation. Once scanned, the equipment on our desk, we managed to pick up the offending frequency at 76.8 megahertz within minutes. Once we pinpointed the frequency, it was time for us to find out where it was coming out from. So after finishing the spectral scan, we did a spatial scan of the device, and at 76.8 megahertz. And what we saw within minutes was there's a thermal area where it was showing red, where the frequency was emitting. Now, investigating this further, we looked into the Gerbers. We saw that a power plane was coupling with a track of the crystal that we mentioned earlier, and it was acting as an antenna, and it was emitting the signal at the edge of the board. We decided to simply switch the two internal layers, ground and power, with With one call to the PCB manufacturer, we made a new batch of boards, and after 3 weeks, we tested the board, and the frequency was not completely gone when we tested it with EMScan again, but the effects of having the ground plane between the polygon and the crystal track mitigated the effects quite a bit. Now, with this new information, the board was sent for certification again. Now, keeping in mind, all we did is just swap 2 layers and remanufactured the board. And the board passed certification. The unpredictability of how many problems a designer can come across is always difficult to quantify. In some cases, you might know the source of the problem. In some cases, you might know the effects. The value of being able to see the full picture, even when you don't have an issue, is priceless. Here at EDA Technologies, we offer various services such as EMScan and design services to always make sure that you as a client can get your design to the market as efficiently as possible. With that in mind, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my presentation. My name is Ovi. Back to you, Nechan.
Okay, so thank you everyone. I really hope you enjoyed that presentation. It's a lot of information, but as you can see, there's a lot of value in 80/20. We believe in the product. We're backing Altium 100%. We've seen over the years the amount of effort that's put into developing the product and improving it all around. And there were a number of criticisms in the past about Altium's routing ability and so on. We're seeing that gap closing all the time. And Altium is really a lot more powerful than it used to be. And I'm sure that you as our loyal users over many, many years can vouch for that as well. So please get going with the tool, use it, and experiment with the features. And if you have any issues, please come back to us. If you're interested in training, speak to Roxanne. If you're interested in EMScan, the product is for sale. Stock is available. We also have a fantastic support structure with our supplier of EMScan. So we're there to help you, and it can make a huge difference. You can get to market faster. That is very important. So guys, thanks for the session. We're on time. We're finishing off now at 11:58. It's been great chatting to you. Please drive safe. Have a good holiday, and we look forward to further interaction. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.